Alrighty guys, good evening. I'm Ryan here, doing things solo today. Let me know in the chat if you can hear me, how my audio sounds. Once you get the thumbs up, we'll go ahead and get started here. It's going to be here on this Tuesday evening. Nice day outside, 60 degrees, 65 degrees. Can hear you, perfect. Thanks guys, sounds good, awesome. All right, let's go ahead and get started. This is going to be a briefing for both snow and severe weather incoming for Michigan tomorrow evening. Go ahead and adjust this microphone just a bit. Sorry if that was loud. Let's go ahead and start. We have a couple things to dive into. First, we have the SPC outlook. This is going to be our severe weather outlook here for Wednesday evening. We're going to notice a couple things here. We have a general thunderstorm risk all the way up into the Marquette area, all the way back down through the eastern UP. The LP as well, entirely within a thunderstorm risk. And then in far southwest lower, we have a dark green marginal risk for severe weather. On a scale of 1 to 5, that is a low risk level 1. So it's not too terribly high, but we do have some increasing ingredients here that may support a severe threat. Let's go ahead and talk about that, and then we're going to touch on the snow. So first, zooming way in here to the southwest Michigan area, we're going to see that marginal risk extends roughly just south of Muskegon, through Grand Rapids, through Hastings, back toward Jackson and Adrian, and then back to the west towards South Haven, Benton Harbor, Three Rivers, Kalamazoo, and Coldwater areas. What risks are in play tomorrow via the SPC? Number 1, damaging winds. Same exact areas. Number 2, large hail. Again, same exact areas. And then number 3, we have a little bit of Berrien County in a 2% tornadic risk here, a low-end risk for a brief spin-up. However, we do feel like that is a little bit higher and perhaps a little bit stretched further inland. We'll get to that here in just a second, but I do think the risk for a couple tornadoes tomorrow does exist, especially for western Michigan. Let's go ahead and look at the model here. We have the short-term high-resolution rapid refresh. We use this model quite often in severe weather season. We're going to run through the future radar and go through our 4 main ingredients for severe weather. Today and tonight will be dry. Tomorrow we're going to be a different story here with snow approaching the UP by early afternoon. And then we have our system, the center of our system across Illinois. That's going to move east-northeast here towards Michigan throughout the evening on Wednesday. As it does so, it's going to swing a cold front through, and along that cold front will be a line of showers and storms, and of course to the north, snow. Let's go ahead and dive in here to the actual radar, going to the composite type. There we go, that's what I wanted to look at. Let's go ahead and run this back to 18Z, perfect. Let's walk through this together. Here is 11 a.m. tomorrow morning, here is noon. Snow begins in the UP, maybe some rain showers in northern lower. As we get toward the afternoon time frame, turn your attention here, 2 things. Number 1, the UP gets heavier snowfall rates during this time frame, and also our storms have developed in Illinois at that 2 or 3 o'clock time frame Wednesday afternoon. Now going forward into the late afternoon and early evening, that line of storms will continue to develop as snow continues for the UP. We have a healthy looking line of storms that is pushing our direction in Illinois. This is at 6 p.m. here, 7 p.m. and then 8 p.m. We're going to start seeing those storms begin to arrive in West Michigan around that 8 p.m. time frame. And as they arrive, let's go ahead and take a look at the ingredients for severe weather. Go ahead and pause it right there as they just pushed on shore at 9 p.m. We talk about 3 main ingredients here, 4 if you want to count the lift part, but we have plenty of lift with the system, so we're not going to really touch on that too much. But we look at moisture, instability, and wind shear. Number 1, wind shear. We have a plethora of it across the Great Lakes region. Anything you see here in that reddish brown color, that is going to be your very high wind shear. Looking into West Michigan, we're going to have a decent amount of wind shear there for these storms to take advantage of. No concern with shear at all. Let's look at the instability. Instability there, we could be looking at about 2 to 3, maybe 400 joules of surface-based instability. That is enough to warrant concern for severe weather, especially with stronger dynamics up in the atmosphere. So we're not going to be too overly stingy about the levels of CAPE that we want to see. We just had a perfect example last weekend. We didn't have a lot of shear, didn't have a lot of instability. We had a lot of shear. We still got severe weather there. Kind of a similar story to this this event here. We have a lot of shear, not much in the way of instability. Regardless, severe threat will continue. Now, the main thing that we're kind of watching, keeping an eye on, is our moisture content. And the reason I say that is we saw this afternoon a little bit of an increase in our moisture, especially in far southwest lower Michigan, where dew points could be in the mid 50s. That is going to be what we want to see. Yesterday, the day before, we were seeing the low 50s. So now we're seeing mid 50s. The higher we get our moisture up, the more concern we have. So putting it all together, we have a decent environment for severe weather in southwest Michigan, perhaps carrying further eastward into the central part of lower Michigan as well. Going back to that future radar, going to take a look back here as the storms first arrive at 9 o'clock. Let's go to 10 o'clock. They do begin to weaken here, but also take note further south in Indiana, we have a secondary line that may develop, and that's going to push into southeast Michigan. So perhaps an entire risk stretching from south west to southeast through the evening hours tomorrow evening. There is 11 p.m. Here is midnight, and by about that 1 a.m. time frame, they're moving out and the threat is then over. So putting it all together, we put a forecast together for you guys. Here is what we're thinking as of this afternoon. We're going with a low risk level 2 on our scale. This is our forecast, not the SPC. This is our thoughts here. So we're going low risk along the West Michigan lakeshore as those storms first arrive. We're going to go to limited risk all the way over to Detroit and Flint areas, because we're seeing that we're seeing enough ingredients come together that may move across the state that would support a damaging wind, perhaps large hail risk further eastward in those blue zones. In that green zone in particular is the risk for potential spin up tornado or two. But first, let's go to the wind outlook. Highest there in the west part of Michigan, and then lowest there in green. Going to the hail outlook, it matches identically to the wind outlook. Then what I was just mentioned there, the tornado outlook is highest there across south of Michigan from Muskegon down south to that Kalamazoo in the Niles areas in green. To be exact, that is our highest concern for a brief spin up or two possible. So putting it all together, main time frame begins after 8 p.m., probably closer to 9 or 10. All hazards are possible as those storms move on shore from Lake Michigan, and they could carry a risk for only damaging winds and large hail further to the east. Not really too concerned for anything tornadic further east, but we'll watch it very closely. And for that, we have another thing to talk about with the system, and that is the snow potential. Going to the snow on the European model, take a large zoomed out look here of the atmosphere. We're going to look at how the system evolves. The low pressure moves up. This is tomorrow morning, and we see that snow over the UP for, this is about 2 p.m. here, 5 p.m., 8 p.m., 10 p.m. Here we go. It's still snowing there by the time we get to Thursday morning. So a good 12 to 20 hours worth of moderate to heavy snowfall for the UP. And the models today did shift the majority of the highest accumulation to the east. So updating our forecast here, we're going a wide swath in central UP of 6 to 12 inches. There is a brief corridor there toward the Marquette, Shingleton area. We're going to go 12 to plus. Could see as much as 18 inches in spots, but I do think we're going to see a good corridor of 12 or more inches in that red zone. But notice how sharp these cutoffs are. What I mean by cutoff is how quickly it kind of tapers off. So we could get 12 inches, for example, in Escanaba, but go over to like Paradise or Sault Ste. Marie, 1 to 3 is the forecast for you guys. So very, very, very sharp cutoffs. So this could probably shift a little bit more. Notice we went second call with this forecast. It's not our final call. We'll have to update this one more time tomorrow if anything changes. Shifting is probably going to occur between tonight's model runs and the morning model runs. We'll update our forecast we'll update our forecast tomorrow morning as best we possibly can. But do keep in mind for the UP, that is going to be a heavier snow event there for Marquette, Channing, Escanaba, Shingleton, Grand Marais, and areas between. And as such, we do have winter storm warnings, as you see on your screen there, for portion of the UP. I think the only counties not in a advisory or warning is going to be Chippewa and Mackinac. I could be wrong on that. I didn't really look too much in detail, but I believe we have a wide area of warnings and or advisories up there for the snow. But with the snow also, concern is for heavier wind gusts. Go ahead and overlap the heaviest wind gust here. There we go. Notice up there in the UP, 30 to 40 mile per hour wind gust, a possibility there. So we could see blowing snow, drifting snow, perhaps whiteout, maybe even blizzard-like conditions for portions of the UP. So overall, tomorrow afternoon and evening into the overnight hours of Thursday into Thursday morning, I would say travel is probably not advised, especially going back to that map in the 6 to 12 or in the 12 plus zone. So do keep that in mind if you're traveling or if you live up there in the UP. That is the synopsis. Let's go ahead and pull out the chat here. You guys have questions, feel free to drop those in chat. I'll be happy to answer some of those. Yes, Nessa, we have a statewide tornado siren test tomorrow. It is a voluntary. Not every township or city is going to participate in those, but I do know a lot do. So 1 p.m. tomorrow, that test, last we heard from the Grand Rapids NWS, will continue even with the risk of severe weather later in the evening. They will go ahead and test sirens tomorrow at 1 p.m. For those communities that do participate in a voluntary test. Will storms weaken by tomorrow night, Rachel? Yes, they will. The further east and north they move, the less instability they have, and the less fuel they're going to have to sustain themselves, so they should gradually weaken with time. But thunderstorms with small hail, perhaps non-severe gusty winds, will push across the state either way. So do expect thunderstorms tomorrow. Severe weather, I think, is going to be tied primarily to the west part of Michigan. Would not be shocked if we see a couple of central and perhaps eastern Michigan statements, or perhaps even an isolated warning for either probably large hail, but perhaps a gusty wind as well. I want to say this as well. Our lapse rates, which is basically an ingredient we use to kind of measure how strong updrafts are and perhaps how large hail could be. We have really steep lapse rates, so that will aid in perhaps some larger hailstones as well. So keep an eye on that. I do think hail is a bit more of a threat this time around than we had last weekend, but I do think the main threat, regardless, is going to be damaging winds. What time for rain to start around Allegan County tomorrow? Asked Sherman. Sherman, we're expecting rain. The heaviest of storms, we could see some raindrops here if you zoom in. Notice we have some isolated showers there, but that's going to be afternoon, evening time frame. The main line of storms begins to push across Lake Michigan and arrives roughly right around 9 o'clock tomorrow evening. So we could see some rain showers before that. The main show, so to speak, starts at that 9 or close to that 9 o'clock time frame. Any chances that Wayne County could get upgraded into a marginal risk tomorrow? Katie, I don't think it's impossible. Although looking at stuff right now, I'm going to say probably need to have more confidence for the SPC to do that. But I would not be shocked to see an expansion of that marginal risk toward the Detroit area. So don't be shocked tomorrow if you do wake up in a marginal risk. SPC will update at 2 o'clock in the morning. For our YouTube members here, we will be live about 1 o'clock in the morning for a watch party. So if you want to join us, if you're a YouTube member, feel free to tune in. I will post the link on the YouTube members community for those of you who want to join. Yeah, Kendra, I do as well. Severe weather after dark is just a whole different ball game. You can't see it coming. A lot of people are sleeping. It's kind of like that nightmare, no pun intended, scenario. But luckily, this doesn't look to be a huge threat, so to speak. But it is definitely there, especially for West Michigan. So but yeah, this isn't a threat to get too worked up over. But we will communicate any threats that do happen to be there, which is why we are live. So. Watch party will begin about 1 o'clock. We may hop on before that. We'll see. Colleen asks, chances of tornadoes. So our severe weather outlook that we posted, our thoughts Does show the highest risk for a tornado or two would be from Muskegon over to Grand Rapids, over toward Berry County line, of Allegan County line as well, through Kalamazoo, back through about that Sturgis area, and then points to the Lake Michigan shoreline. That is where we think the highest risk for a tornado would happen. Further east, I don't think it's impossible, but I also don't think it's probable. Yes, Summer, you did. Again, this is our forecast. The SPC does the official forecast here from the government agency in Norman, Oklahoma, and they also do show a low risk for a tornado in Berrien County. We think it's a little bit further north, a little bit further east than that, which is why we make our own forecast if we have a different opinion than the SPC. So we want to communicate kind of both ideas here. I have a complaint about my microphone being too loud, so I'm going to turn it down. Let me know if you guys can still hear me. I get complaints about being too loud or too soft, and now I'm getting complaints it's too loud. So let me know. I just turned it down to normal levels. Any threats for a tornado in Detroit area? Debbie, good question. The answer is more than likely no. The more so ingredients for a tornado, it's going to be in West Michigan. I'll go ahead and show you guys the ingredients. We'll use something called it's called a significant tornado parameter, but it's a good tool to kind of use to gauge where we could see more tornadoes than we could see less tornadoes, so to speak. So the significant tornado parameter here is highest across Indiana, but do note we do have that corridor 1 or 2 parameter number here in West Michigan. As that does move east, it will move east into central Michigan, but as far as eastern Michigan goes, it's a very, very low-end risk here by the time it gets to East Michigan. I do think the potential is highest there when storms first arrive on the shoreline in that general vicinity. So do keep that in mind. And also to our friends to the south here, we also operate a page for Indiana. The concern there is a little bit higher for a tornado or two possible. We could see a couple of different ones across Illinois and Indiana by tomorrow evening. So I think Southwest Michigan is included in that risk. It's just not as high as to our south. I'll also show you the ingredients here, which overlaps our wind shear instability. We call it supercell composite, and we see, again, the same exact areas overlapping here in the West Michigan area from basically Grand Rapids on south. We see a good 2 or 3 on the parameter scale here. So it's a low-end environment, but it doesn't need to be a high-end environment to get severe weather, as we've seen this past weekend. How do you click on your link to buy snacks, etc.? Is there a way to save the link for a future? You're on Facebook there. I see your comment. Probably going to butcher this. LaShelpa, or I'm not going to try to pronounce that. If you go to our Facebook page and on our profile, there is, it says Michigan Storm Chasers and one other link. If you click that, it'll bring you to our link tree. Click on the link tree and look for the Amazon wish list. And that is where you can buy us anything on the wish list, including our snacks. So again, on our Facebook profile, you should see something that says Michigan Storm Chasers and one other link. If you were to click that, it'll bring up the link tree for you. There's a moderator here on the Facebook side. If you want to drop that link tree for her, that'd be great, or for them. So the lower the numbers on the parameter scale means weaker storms. You could sometimes say that, but every single setup is different, Rachel. So I wouldn't blanket statement that. But you can attribute a higher environment to a brighter color or a higher number. But with this system coming in tomorrow, we have a lot of wind shear. We know from a meteorological standpoint, a lot of wind shear with a little bit of cape can do some pretty crazy things. So even though it's not a high-end environment being shown, we still have some concern for tomorrow. The colder lakes often stop warm fronts from lifting further north, often keeping instability and severe storms south of Michigan. That is true, Michael. That is true. But in the this case, we're not concerned about that at all. This is a very strong low pressure system. It's going to bring a warm front further north. We're going to be again probably in the low to mid 60s tomorrow across Michigan. The light green on this map, I'll go ahead and zoom out here. The light green from Marquette down here to LP, that is just general thunderstorms. And on the bottom right of these maps, we post these all the time on our page. That is your scale of how these maps work. So in order from lowest at level 1, the marginal, to highest level 5, and then that general thunderstorm risk does not have a number because it is not a severe weather risk. So whenever you see the light green, that just means general thunderstorms with no severe weather expected. Would it be safe to be out after 8 p.m. tomorrow in Ishpeming? That is going to be when the heaviest of snow is going to be picking up there. So if you're traveling on the roads, I'd say probably not. Probably not. You're going to want to get your activities done before the afternoon time frame because after that it just gets worse and worse into the night. I believe the worst conditions will happen overnight, but the heavier snow will begin probably around that 8 p.m. time frame, if I had to guess. Will Escanaba get hit? Escanaba is going to get hit with snow. Severe weather? No. But you will get a lot of snow. Going back to our snow forecast here, there you go. Escanaba finds itself in 6 to 12 inches of snow by the time we get to Thursday afternoon. Interesting. I'm going to try something here. There, I switched microphones so maybe you guys can actually not hear that background noise. Let me know how that's if it. Let me know if that's any different. Do you expect a severe spring weather-wise? Colleen, we actually posted our severe weather outlook for this year about 2 weeks ago. I don't really think there is a signal either one way or the other of an active or a less than active season. It's going to all depend on what's called the MJO, which is a technical term. Basically, we go through cycles in the atmosphere of more activity, less activity, warmer temps, cooler temps, and that's going to drive this year our severe patterns. And it's going to be kind of off and on. So, too quiet. Oh, goodness. But anyway, if you guys can still hear me, I think either way, we're going to be probably, if I had to guess, when all said and done, leaning below average. What's up, Beth? Nessa says last spring and summer was crazy. Yeah, we had a pretty crazy, little crazy year last year between the Muskegon June 25th day and also we had the May 7th. We had a couple days, that actually popped off, so to speak. Okay, cool. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Any further questions? If not, we'll pop out of here pretty soon. What's up, Michelle? First time watching on YouTube. It's pretty cloudy here in the zoo. Welcome to YouTube. Honestly, I think YouTube is a much better experience watching anything really. Any chance of seeing sprites? Zeggery, that is a good question that I really do not have the answer to. I think there's really a chance of sprites anytime you have a distant thunderstorm, especially when it's moving away from you. And that would be, you need clear skies behind it. So I guess we can look if there's going to be clear skies behind this line of storms that's going to push through. We can do that. Um, let's see if we can't pull something up here. I'm not sure. There we go. Reflectivity and cloud cover. Hmm. I'm going to guess you're probably going to be cloudy behind it. It's hard to tell. I'm not a sprites expert, so I'm not sure if I'm educated enough to answer your question. Hey there, moving back to Michigan this summer after 24 years in Florida, trying to get back in the Michigan weather groove. Matt, welcome back to the state. And I hope you're ready for cold and snow because we have not changed in 24 years. I currently do not have sunset cams pulled up, Janelle. I potentially can try. Let me at least attempt to get it in. You too, Robert. Enjoy your night. Thanks for tuning in. I miss the Aurora. They were awesome this winter. Honestly, this winter, I don't think we had too many days with big events like we did last year. But we are still in solar maximum, so I would assume we'll have many different chances of seeing them upcoming here. Um, bear with me here, trying to figure this out. Interesting. There we go. There is your sunset cam, Janelle. And that is courtesy of Guardian Technologies. We are going back to Florida on Saturday. I hope the Aurora doesn't try to come out when we leave. Joey, that's not how it works. When you leave, they're gonna pop out. So it's just how it all works. Amy, that is going to be roughly about 9 p.m. in the west part of Michigan. I'll go ahead and go over everything really quick and then pop out of here. Appreciate you guys watching. So if you are heading out, be sure to hit the like button. Let's go ahead and go over everything one more time for this severe event. So first of all, we're tracking a marginal risk, which is from the SPC, a low end risk for severe weather in the southwest part of Michigan over to the Adrian area and back to the west. All right. That is the SPC outlook. We also did our version of it. Go ahead and pull that up real quick. similar to it, but we do think the risk extends a little bit further to the north, a little bit further to the east as well, based on latest guidance. So this is our forecast. Highest risk there in green, where we have the low risk across the West Michigan Lakeshore from about Muskegon, Oceana County down to the Berrien and St. Joseph County, or Branch County. Yeah, St. Joseph County. That was right. That area. And then we do think we have a risk for wind as well as hail. Same exact areas, same exact risk types. Highest in the west part of Michigan. But also, we do think there's a risk for a tornado across the southwest part of Michigan. That risk should diminish overnight into the evening hours. Talking about the ingredients here, let's go ahead and zoom into Michigan and go through hour by hour and talk about everything that's coming together for this event. I want to highlight this by saying it's not a very high-end risk, but is a risk nonetheless that we have our eye on. So starting tomorrow, we'll pause it right here. This is noon. And as we move into the afternoon hours, we're going to see that snow start in the UP. And yes, the UP is going to get a lot of snow with this. But do take note, a few showers in the lower part of Michigan are possible throughout the afternoon. Notice how we have some lighter showers here pushing across. But our main concern is back here across Illinois and Wisconsin. And that's going to push east-northeastward into the evening hours. And we're going to pause it right here. This is 8 p.m. Eastern time. And as that moves east, it arrives between 8 and 9 o'clock on the west part of Michigan. And do take note, it looks pretty strong there. It's going to be at its strongest when it first arrives, which is why we have that risk for severe weather highest in the West Michigan area. As it moves across the state, it should hold together, but it should gradually weaken at the same time. So perhaps a damaging wind, isolated large hail event somewhere in the central part of Michigan as that line of storms pushes east. But as that clears the state about midnight to 1 a.m., that risk should be over. We're just left with some leftover rain showers. Now, going to the snow side of this, we have our snow forecast posted. The UP is going to get a good walloping, 6 to 12 inches of snow from Marquette down to Channing, Escanaba, Shingleton, and then also further to the east or west, we're going to kind of lower our amounts further east. Sault Ste. Marie gets an inch and a half, or an inch to 3 inches. Further toward the Covington area, 1 to 3, 2 to 5. It's going to be a very sharp gradient cutoff here of the snow, so this could shift around. A final outlook will be posted tomorrow afternoon, so do take note of that. Just because we had a lot of shifting going on today. There's actually shifted about 50 to 100 miles to the east today, the heaviest snow. So a big shift for the UP with the heavier snow amounts. But that is going to be something to keep an eye on in the UP. Couple that, heavier snowfall rates starting late afternoon Wednesday into the overnight hours into Thursday morning. That'll combine with gusty winds around 30, perhaps 40 miles per hour, blowing snow, drifting snow, and near blizzard conditions, a possibility there. So do take note of that if you are in the UP and do have travel plans tomorrow afternoon, evening, or perhaps even Thursday after or Thursday morning into the afternoon hours. All right, with that being said, recapping one more time, severe risk tomorrow starts about 8 o'clock. It should gradually weaken with time, but all hazards are possible, especially in West Michigan. Damaging wind, main threat, large hail, second threat, a brief tornado or two, a possibility, especially along the lakeshore counties in West Michigan. So with that being said, we're going to close out our sponsor tab. We have our spotlight sponsor today, Pro Powder, for powder coating needs based out of the South Haven area. Commercial or residential use, 269-637-8722 is the number to call. Thank you to Pro Powder for being today's spotlight sponsor. We also have numerous other sponsors that help keep operations rolling here at Michigan Storm Chasers. We have StormGuard Roofing and Construction based out of Detroit Metro, Mike Hayes Roofing and Siding based out of the Thumb region, Sanilac and St. Clair counties to be exact, McKay Tree Specialist based out of Southeast Michigan. We have Lifestyle Exteriors based out of the Lansing area. We have Kuiper Tree Care based out of Grand Rapids. We got Katz Roofing and Siding based out of Potterville. Gull Lake Tree Pro based out of Kalamazoo. We have Guardian Technologies based out of Burton. On Top Roofing based in Southeast Michigan, Livingston County. And we have Henkel's Tree Care based in the far southwest corner of the state. These sponsors help keep operations rolling at Michigan Storm Chasers. We could not do our operations without their support. So if you do happen to need some of their work, either tree services, powder coating, roofing, siding, exterior needs, or if you need security systems or audio video needs, feel free to give one of these sponsors a call. All of our sponsors can be found on our website, michiganstormchasers.com, under the sponsors tab. Thank you to all of our sponsors, and thank you to you guys as viewers for keeping us supported and making sure we are Appreciate it here in the state of Michigan. I could not do it without you guys. Every like, watch, share, comment. You guys are awesome. With that being said, we are going to pop out of here. So you guys enjoy your evening. I'll catch you guys tonight. If you're a member on YouTube here, we'll do a members only live stream. But if not, we'll catch you guys tomorrow for an update briefing here at Michigan Storm Chasers YouTube, X, Facebook, and Twitch accounts. Stay safe, guys. Enjoy your evening.